So happy October. So obviously October, we're doing a couple of Halloween horror type of, hence the ambience of the room. So we're gonna do a couple videos this month.
Yeah.
Well, we might do more than a couple, but we're doing these two horror-themed videos for sure.
What's the next one going to be?
The next one after this is going to be our...
Plug an intro for the next one. Just plug it. Like on, late night.
Yeah, go ahead. So what have you been working on there, Case?
The one that we're going to do after this one is the me and MJ's top 5 horror movies, since we haven't done that one.
I like it. I like where your head's at. I like the direction. I like the overall.
I like this category because there's no Michael Bay movies to pick from.
Or is there? I mean, some of them are pretty horrific.
Pretty horrific.
Got it. Okay. Focus.
So this episode here is one of our Let's Talk Abouts. So yeah,
hey, Case.
Huh?
Hey.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something.
What do you want to talk about? What kind of vibe is the atmosphere putting off?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about
zombies.
The undead?
The undead.
Seems like a good topic.
It seems Halloween-esque, if you will.
Yeah.
My zombie sweaty balls. My balls are actually in her mouth right now.
So anyway.
I digress. Sorry. I was reliving a moment from yesterday.
Well, actually, with the zombie thing, we can't start this off without mentioning the godfather of zombie movies, which would be
Bela Lugosi. In popular culture, it would have been 1932's White Zombie, starring Bela Lugosi.
That is correct.
Although he's not a zombie, he is a voodoo doctor who transforms a woman into a living zombie. That was the first popular culture movie reference.
Zombie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
White Zombie. But then we go to flash forward Pittsburgh 1968 by a former Mr. Rogers cameraman, Mr. George A. Romero.
I was going to say Katharine Hepburn.
Oh. Rawr, I'm a zombie. Rawr. Shut up, Vincent. I'm a zombie. What was your first introduction to a zombie?
It would have been a fancy little gem from the 1980s.
Oh, watch out.
A decade that lives in infamy. Called My Boyfriend's Back. That was my first experience. Because me and my cousin both had a crush on Tracy Lind.
And yeah, what's he doing now?
The Navy recruiter.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Boys. Yeah,
So that was my first take of the undead, where someone dies, they come back to life, and it's a parent. It's like a camp.
Yeah.
Everybody limbs start falling off. He loses his ear. She's kissing on him, and it's like a
nibbling his ear.
Everybody all of a sudden thinks he's cool and hot because he's dead.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
All of a sudden, this Tracy Lynn character, who's the main girl, and his love interest, just thinks he's just the cat's pajamas now that he's undead.
I can see it.
Yeah, so it's...
What's that cologne you're wearing? It's an eau de musk.
It's a pretty weird take, but you had Matthew Fox and Philip Seymour Hoffman were in it. Young
Yeah,
Philip
yeah.
Seymour Hoffman.
Pre-heroin Seymour Hoffman.
Well, pre being dead, yeah.
Is it too soon? Is it too soon?
Nah, it's been a while. He'd probably already back again from that too.
Let's see.
He's gonna make comebacks. Yeah, what was your first undead experience on screen?
So, I don't know that it was my absolute first, but I will say it's the first one I remember. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. Why not? So it is to date one of the only movies that I still do not care to watch because it terrified me as a child. Terrified me as a child. And it's about a loving family that lives off of a trucking highway. And they get careless with their boy, and he runs headlong into a semi, only to be buried in the local pet cemetery and come back to life.
Wait, did you just say Pet Cemetery?
Well,
roll credits.
Done with it. Yeah.
Oh, they said the thing. He said the thing.
The thing.
The
thing. Drink. We got to drink.
Don't let him think about it.
But yeah, based on the Stephen King novella, and terrified me as a kid. I was that little kid. What was his name? Gage, I think was the son's name.
Yeah, the kid was. Yeah, that was.
He was a creepy freaking kid.
And see, like I've always had a problem with. We're gonna get into more of that because obviously we're talking about zombies, but
yeah, dead kids.
No, I've always had a problem with like practical visual of like body horror on screen.
Yeah,
I get like genuinely queasy or genuine.
Are you talking about the kid that got with his brain hanging out?
No, just the scene where he cuts the guy's Achilles tendon.
Oh yeah, that was a brutal scene too.
I know, just like
Herman Munster. Yeah. But so the scene with the little boy stuck out, but also the practical makeup that was on. So the first kid that died at the you asshole died at the school. He got hit by a semi as well, and his brain's all hanging out earlier in the movie, and then he's talking to the dad, like in a weird like ghost zombie fashion. But yeah, so I think Pet Cemetery was my first like zombie introduction, and I'd have to say that my my renaissance of zombies, hit much later with probably the Dawn of the Dead remake from Snyder.
That was the one that I was gonna say was the prominent one that stuck out, was Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake. Which
roll credits. He said it. We're rolling. I don't believe you. Ron, you're on.
A lot of people give him a lot more credit for that than, because a lot of people didn't know that was, because the original Dawn of the Dead kind of flew under a lot of radar, and it came out in '78. And unless you really followed his work, which you could imagine back then there was no internet or YouTube, or I mean, it's a crazy thing. This stuff didn't exist forever. I don't think people even realized it was a sequel or a continuation of the Night of the Living Dead universe.
Right. Yeah, because
I thought a lot of people probably thought it was a standalone. But
right. Well, yeah, because what else did you have? Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead.
There's three that were George Romero's in the from the beginning.
Let's work it out. Let's hit me with
what
you
got. You got Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and then Day of the Dead.
Yep. I think that was it.
Romero's. Yep.
I think that was it until Land of the Dead.
Yep, which would have came out in like 2000.
The early aughts, yeah. Somewhere in there.
03, 04, somewhere around there.
It's when John Leguizamo still was considered an A-list actor.
And They had Simon Baker in there as the main protagonist too, and he actually I just watched it again the other day.
And
And I was
was
like-
it Aja the Argento?
The girl,
Yeah.
yeah, she was off like Triple X.
Yep.
Yep.
And then he had
Dennis Hopper was in it.
yeah, it wasn't bad. Wasn't great,
No, but
but it wasn't
the
bad.
the visual effects for that were still pretty good because, like I said, it is George Romero.
Right. And then after that, I think he did one like
He's done
like a
two
live
or three.
action. Yeah, but it was like a
Yeah, it's
ready cam.
Diary of the Dead.
Yeah, but that was the one after Land, right?
Yep, there's Diary of the Dead, and then there's Survival of the Dead.
Yeah, I stopped after I tried Diary, and I couldn't get into the shaky cam
No, I didn't either.
craze.
So I kind of stopped at
Land.
Land.
Yeah, same.
But
we don't
like,
go to see.
He was pretty revolutionary back in like the 78 and 81 too, with like the Savini was like his makeup artist
Right.
who has
Well,
a
Savini
cameo
learned-
in Land of the Dead.
Yeah, Savini started with he was like an assistant on Night of, and that's where he learned the initial like process of the prosthetics because he got
So
back from
there was a mistake when he was helping with the makeup for Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead, where it's basically the same. It's obviously the same as Zack Snyder's because it was shot in a mall. But Savini, who also was in that movie as one of the motorcycle raiders,
Yep.
tried to go with like a gray for the makeup.
Right.
He said he regrets it because when they started shooting, the film made it look like green or blue,
right.
and so he really regrets that decision of going with gray because he said visually once it was shot and turned out it did not look what he had all envisioned in his head,
Right.
but still a
There-
lot of good visual stuff there. Pretty gore. There's a European version that is completely different, not completely different, but there's aspects of that were left out of the American one.
Right.
But because one of Romero's close friends or something from Europe helped fund
Okay.
or kind of push along that movie because he just came off a Creep Show, and that kind of flopped. It didn't really do anything, so he was kind of
Oh, Creepshow was great though.
a boat adrift. Kind of Romero was
Yeah.
at that time, but so they kind of greenlit it, but they didn't greenlight it where it's like, all right, here's a freaking blank check,
yeah, here's a truckload of money. Go make a movie.
Yeah, so they did with what they could, and there's a lot of it that still stands out to this day. That some of the visual effects with the gore, the body gore, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, it definitely led the way for The Walking Dead, which
Yep.
evolved the zombie lore and evolved what those type of zombies were. Right.
You know more about the one that's on your shirt than me.
Return of the Living Dead. So this one, so Romero had Night of the Living Dead, right?
Yeah,
So these guys wrote, or Return of the Night of the Living Dead. So basically, it's a sequel to the original George Romero movie, and they reference, that it happened back in Ohio, and in this one, it was because of a military gas that they had created, and that's what created the zombies. Romero's, you find out later in his universe that the paths kind of went off, but they just used what everybody knew from Night of the Living Dead to create this punk rock alternate universe. So this one, it's a gas called trioxin, and the zombies can spread it because they've been infected with it. So they take the zombies from the original Night and they put them in these barrels and they shipped them to these warehouses and just kind of left them there to rot. And a punk kid gets a job at said warehouse, ends up cracking one open, and so Romero is the one that introduced the zombies eating flesh.
right.
Up until that point in the lore of zombies, that wasn't really a factor. So in Return, they eat the flesh, and specifically brains, because that was the only way to lessen the pain of them rotting.
Also, it wasn't even for them to to extend their existence.
No, it was just literally a temporary relief from the pain of rot.
Oh, okay.
And this universe, the zombies could talk. Obviously, it's like a dumbed down, a lobotomized version.
Yeah.
But there's a scene in the first one where ambulance pulls up to try to help some of the people that were trapped, and the zombies eat the paramedics. And then one of the zombies picks up the mic. He's like, "Send back up," and like hangs up the receiver, and then they send more people for them to eat. So it's like zombie takeout. And then the gas gets into the atmosphere, and if it rained on you too much, you could turn and die and turn that way, and that's how you got one of my favorite zombies from that era, Miss Trash. You don't know who it is? Go look it up. Bing, put a picture. But yeah, and then in the sequel, the sequel was great because they kind of leaned into the campiness of what was their original, but a sequel to Night, right? And it just had like this punk rock attitude, and it was great. By the third one, though, that was
the rails by then.
Yeah, it just completely went off the rails, and you got this. The third one, it's about a guy and a girlfriend who find out about the gas, and they're trying to escape this military base. And he hits like a telephone pole and kills her. So then he takes her back to the base, hooks her up to the gas, turns her back into a living zombie.
Yeah.
And instead of eating her boyfriend, whom she cared about, she starts to like shove nails in her finger and like all these spikes and glass and nails, and like makes herself truly like a living weapon, and then like just kills everybody.
Huh.
But that was her way of hurting herself, was a way to deal with the pain of the rot, basically.
Huh.
But the script is just god awful beyond a pretty girl basically being a masochist.
Yeah, and I knew that I'd heard that about the third one.
Yeah,
so I just kind of stayed away from it. But
yeah,
I mean, I might have to watch it just to say that I've watched it. But
it's definitely worth that, if nothing else, right? So I think I picked up all three for like $15 total, and the first two are generally like, they're pretty fun watches. Like, you watch them around Halloween, you get a good chuckle.
Yeah.
The third one, you're like, wow, somebody paid to make this movie. Good for you guys.
Well, because even like I was looking through on our deal there, and I was like, so I went to the first one, and it was like, oh yeah, like 75 or 80 something %.
Right.
And then right away when you go to part two, it's like, yeah, like 28. They're just like,
yeah. By the time you get to number 3, it's like, you should probably do that.
I picture like as I went through the list, like simultaneously or in chronological order. Remember that yodeler guy on Price is Right?
Yeah.
And he fell off the edge. Like, I thought that melody was playing in my head as I was looking at the Rotten Tomato scores.
It does star Melinda Clark, who was a very pretty woman back then. But that's about it.
Okay, so shortly after that, it's kind of a we went into this slasher thing for most of the 80s.
Yeah, we really did.
And I don't think there was really anything zombie-ish that popped out until, besides some parody stuff.
Yeah, you got the 80s, you had like more like Demons. So Demons was a movie that
slashers.
But Demons was one that like it infected a person, and then they could then spread the demon feel, but it was zombies without calling it zombies. They just tried to rebrand some of it, I think, which did not work at all.
I guess what was the name of that series or movie?
What's that?
The one
Demons?
Yeah, the demon one.
Literally Demons.
Oh, okay.
And then
you kind of had the vampire love scare back then too with Lost Boys
and Return of the Living Dead started, like that series started in the 80s. So that's where you get like that 80s punk rock.
Well, and Michael Jackson did it
with Thriller.
flash forward to what would it be Dawn of the Dead kind of re-sparked it?
Yeah, I'd say late 90s, you got that remake of Dawn of the Dead. And then right around the same time, we got, 28 Days Later, which I think really put gas on that
was a real
fire.
different take on it because it was
That was the first time we saw fast zombies, right?
fast zombies, and then that was you'll have to check me on this if there's any fact checkers. Was that the first time that per the big screen that it was started from a virus?
I don't know.
Because this was obviously pre Walking Dead time frame.
Right.
Because
my knowledge, yeah, I think so, because it was
the Romero stuff was just a phenomenon.
right.
There was no reason given. This is just something that
Right, and then the return series
they
was
quote it one time in one of the movies. It said, "When hell is full, the dead will walk the earth," type of thing. So it's some kind of
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but I think they use that in.
I don't know. They
I
said
heard it in
Ghostbusters.
Land of the Dead the other day when I was watching.
Okay.
it. But that's kind of their explanation in the Romero stuff. Is it just happened. It's just
Yeah.
God hates you, alfalfa. But yeah, so I think 28 Days Later was the first time that it was incorporated that it was like a biological thing, or that it was
Right.
transmitted biologically.
And I feel like that was the first time like it was out of rage, because that was the whole thing. It was like a rage virus, right?
Yes, that's what is called the rage virus. Oh, I guess we missed the Resident Evil.
So I think that was pretty close to the same time. Maybe not.
Because that was
Why?
the T virus. So I guess whichever came out first, whether Danny Boyle or
Now the game definitely came out. Resident Evil, the game came out in the
so
90s.
I guess in pop culture reference, Resident Evil the game. Because it was the T virus in the first Resident Evil, wasn't it? So it was always the T virus.
It's always been the T virus. Yeah, it was the Umbrella Academy
Yeah,
making this
I
virus.
think it's Umbrella Corporation, but
Oh yeah,
there's
what
a-
did I say?
there's a
Umbrella
show-
Academy. Yeah. Sorry,
I think there's a Netflix show called Umbrella.
there is. It's based on a comic book. That's a whole different conversation. And speaking of games, while we're on that topic, real quick, did you ever play any games that, like, what was your first game with zombies represented?
was Resident Evil 2. Yeah.
Okay,
PlayStation 2, I believe.
yeah, I don't remember.
It was either PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. I mean,
I want to
you
say
go
one,
back and look at it.
but,
You go back and
Yeah,
look at like
6-disc set for one game.
Well, no, but you watch the graphics and you're like, how the hell are any of us not like blind or have like
yeah. Seizures all the time from all the flashing lights and
or I'm just talking about the bad pixelization. Like how do we not all have insane migraines all the time from like
or Laura Croft with her breasts look like polygons.
her polygon breasts? Not that we looked at them.
No, that would be
But,
inappropriate. But then so mine was Zombies Ate My Neighbors on Sega 64.
Sega,
64-bit Sega.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. And I remember,
Didn't they call that like a Genesis?
the Sega Genesis.
No, not a Genesis. Dreamcast?
No, I don't think it was on Dreamcast. It was the
Oh.
yeah. And I remember my friend and I at the time, I think we were maybe late middle school, early high school, like 8th or 9th grade. And his mom would lock us out of the house because we would go home, we'd drink her box of wine, watch TRL, and then play Zombies Ate My Neighbors while we were, half drunk off of White Zinfandel. And of course we had Game Genie. So, Invincible, and we'd call up the local radio station and ask for some Silverchair, just living the dream.
Anthem 2000, or which one did you guys prefer?
No, that would have been, what was the first hit they had?
Tomorrow?
Sure. A Frog Stomper? right?
Yeah, it would have been. Wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Sure, tomorrow. I'll ask you about it again tomorrow. But
I mean, some of the Resident Evil games now have kind of taken it. They're kind of like the movie franchise.
yeah, apparently they made one, like a last one there, and I didn't see it. Girl almost died. I still didn't go see it.
You know, they're like Resident Evil
37.
Final Chapter or something like that. Or...
Hey, remember when Wes Anderson used to be like respected?
Yeah.
Man, that seems like a long time ago.
Yes, yeah, it was a long time ago.
So yeah, I mean, zombies took over, right? I'd say between mid '90s,
yeah,
early aughts.
So really, there was only probably like a 8 or 9 year hiatus there where there wasn't much from zombie lore.
Right, and then you hit it big there for a while, and you had like 28 Days Later. The first couple of Resident Evil movies were pretty good.
The Zack Snyder remake.
Shaun of the Dead was a massive one.
Yeah, that was a I wouldn't say much as a parody as it was just a horror comedy.
Yeah.
That is one of the one scenes where I was like, fuck, that would suck to live through. It was when that guy's getting drug out of the bar.
Yeah.
And then he's still alive and they're ripping apart his stomach. You know,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, he's feeling all that.
Yeah, that hurts a little bit. Yeah. What else came out around that time? I think Zombieland was pretty close after Shaun of the Dead, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, Zombieland would have been. You're getting close to like 2010 time frame.
Right, which is around when Walking Dead kicked off, right?
Because I mean, you're talking about Emma Stone. I mean, so she was kind of a fresh face when the original Zombieland came out.
Yeah.
So I just confirmed with my sources. I had to contact my sources.
Oh, Shwami.
No, Sean Connery actually.
Oh,
but so Resident Evil and 28 Days Later came out the same year, which was 2002.
Okay.
Dawn of the Dead remake came out 2 years later.
Okay.
04. The first Zombieland, 2009. So I was just about right on the. You like to use the word cusp. It makes me think of other things.
Yep. Custard.
Custard?
Yep.
And then The Walking Dead, the infamous, now notorious series, started in 2010.
Okay.
So you did kind of have some build-up. Plus, there was little scraggles of probably some B-budget stuff sprinkled in there throughout the early 2000s. But yeah, it's Resident Evil. I think the games kind of sparked that whole interest again.
Which one?
Well, just the Resident Evil games in the 90s, I think.
Oh, yeah, wholeheartedly agree.
Sparked the whole interest back in like a different genre, a different breed of zombies.
Well, and we came out of the 90s into the 2000s, and it felt like, and maybe it was, because of our time, we were in the Corps, we were becoming men, or were, young men. Felt like you could, grab the world by the balls and do whatever you needed to do.
Yeah.
But I just remember, like, it just felt like we were just picking up steam with horror movies specifically in that time frame. Like the Saw franchises were kicking off, and like you were getting some of the most gruesome torture porn you'd ever seen on camera.
Yeah, you had a lot of that. You had the brothels, you had the
hostels, Touristas, hostel.
Why the fuck did I say brothel?
What are you thinking about today, bud?
We're talking about whores, right?
Shannon!
Must have missed that meeting.
Yep. You always did have your whores. So you hit Walking Dead, and then I feel like we hit that wall where I don't know if people got sick of zombies or they thought like, oh, we got to reinvent the wheel. And we get one of the movies that I love to hate, but I'll still watch it if it's on.
Babes in Toyland.
You got me. You got the table.
Nailed it.
Warm Bodies.
Oh. Yeah, I think you mentioned that briefly in passing. You said it did for zombies what Twilight did for vampires, but you actually enjoy the Warm Bodies one?
I enjoy it more than Twilight, yeah. And look, I get
any of the Twilights.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that still love the Twilight saga. Is that 4 is a saga? Sure. Why not?
Like a murder of crows?
What? A douche of ducks? Is that a thing?
A douche of ducks?
Yeah, I feel like that should be the name. Not a gaggle of geese, but a douche of ducks.
Like a douche?
Yeah. But like I forget the kid's name that stars in it, but it also had Teresa Palmer and
it's Nicholas Hoult. It's got to be Nicholas Hoult, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Witness me, that guy.
Yeah. Witness my glory.
Shit, I'm out of paint.
Huffing gas.
Should have grabbed another one when we left.
And he kind of made a slew of those movies that like you want to dislike, but you kind of like them, like Jack and the Beanstalk.
Well, I guess yes. Jesus.
Now he's in Walking Dead.
But anyway, so I've never seen that Warm Bodies. I know you've talked about before. I should check it out. Like I said, just to say I've checked it out.
Again,
getting back to what we were talking about, I don't think so much that. I think The Walking Dead was held to such high esteem that, and put up on such a precipice that everybody and their dog was trying to compete with, because you still had stuff that was coming out. Everything was, I don't know if it was like copycatish, but like everything had to like have such a running duration.
Okay.
You had like on Netflix and stuff, you get all this stuff that comes out like Z Nation.
Black Summer.
There was like there's like a couple more, and they don't even they're not even
those zombies or whatever, the zoo animal zombies. Is that?
Yeah, sure. There was a couple more though. Like they weren't even worth like remembering their names.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, so I think that's where people what you were talking about. Where people, yeah, what?
Let's play a game.
Okay.
What's that name? What's that name?
For
$5 million. What's that name?
You know what? I think you're a jerk. Yeah, well, I think you're a jerk.
Lara, Kara, Tara, Mara. What's your name?
He goes, audience. He goes, Mara, and he goes, I said Mara. Yeah, well, you didn't know it.
In a word, chaos.
Those guys aren't married. We're a string of problematic bachelors that tool around together, and we call ourselves the Squad.
That's enough about me. Let's find out more about our bachelor, or our contestant. Anyway, yeah, spicy. Yeah. Anyway,
but yeah. So I think everybody was trying to compete with that, because I think around even it was after The Walking Dead came out that 28 Weeks came out, I believe. I might have to try and contact Sean Connery again and see if that's correct. He was busy.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Hold on. 2 seconds. 2 seconds, Turkish. 2007, actually.
Oh, so it came out before Walking Dead.
Yeah. But I think 28 weeks is what kind of gave it the shot in the arm. Or I'm sorry, 28 days, 28 weeks, Zombieland, Shaun of the Dead. Those things like kind of brought zombies to the forefront of pop culture, which then led the way for Walking Dead to step through that door and become the show it became.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great comic as well beforehand. So again, another pop culture avenue that people were vested in.
Yeah, and a lot of people started going. I mean, you had a lot of material too that came out in that. I guess in that time frame of.
Yeah, I mean that's when they wrote
early
iZombie
2000s to kind of going on towards present. Is
Yeah.
A lot of people were looking towards graphic novels for
right,
material.
and that's what I was saying. The graphic novel iZombie was a Vertigo comic book
Oh yeah.
that the CW then turned into a show, and it ran, I think, 6 or 7 seasons. It went.
Yeah, I remember hearing about it.
It was my daughter and I watched it, and she loved it.
But my wife and daughter had just watched. Is it Zombie High or something?
Oh, on like Disney Channel.
Yeah, or Disney Plus.
Yeah,
It's like High School Musical, but it's like
with zombies. Yeah,
yeah. Is that what I'm?
yeah.
Am I
think
thinking
so.
of that correctly?
I think so.
Am I think?
Why is it spicy?
They I guess they're kind of doing to zombies what the Predator did to the Predator.
What's that?
They're pussifying the zombies.
Oh, with warm bodies.
No, with like that Zombie High or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, and
I mean, you get these now. That's like so much stuff has been done with these things where they were scary. Now let's try and make them
not so bad.
friendly.
Not so bad.
Superheroes.
So, you had Walking Dead, which then led into World War Z, which, again, you get a different type of zombie, a different type of
there you get
outbreak.
The speed freaks.
Yeah, and truly speed freaks, right? Like these guys.
Oh yeah.
Made the 28 Days Later zombies look like shamblers or walkers or whatever you want to call them.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. There's so many different names that zombies have been given throughout pop culture too, because depending on what universe you're in, movie universe, they're not.
We should have list your favorite zombie name in the comments of the video.
Yeah, go ahead. You got
shamblers.
You got geeks, walkers, deadheads.
Yeah, rotters,
the classic zombie.
So I'm rewatching Walking Dead to get caught up because season 11 just started as of us airing this, and I'm on season 9, almost 10. And I'm getting to the Whisper War part of the series, which if you haven't watched it, spoilers, but they call them guardians because they wear the skins and literally walk with them. That's what, and whisper to each other.
Yeah, I remember that.
Super creepy part of the show. First time The Walking Dead, I was like, holy crap, like that's kind of spooky. Like the dead are talking to each other.
First time the Whisperers showed up, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're in that cemetery, and all they hear out there is like,
exactly. Yeah.
Really like,
get away. Yeah, and they kill Jesus, and you're like, whoa!
You people voted for Hubert Humphrey, and you killed Jesus.
We got World War Z, which leads into my second daughter, Jolene. Her favorite movie right now, and it's been this way for at least 2 years, is The Dead Don't Die, which was a a bad zombie movie with Bill Murray and Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
Yeah.
Is it
And
good?
it's not bad. It's just weird. And this one, the zombies definitely have a tie to aliens somehow. Because Tilda Swinton is in it, and she's definitely an alien. It's just a funky movie, man. But
Like play
you know,
that
it's got that
movie.
wry humor that you come to expect from Bill.
Yeah, and I mean Adam Driver can be comedic.
You know, he's a fellow jarhead, so
Yeah, he is.
look what happens when you break your sternum.
What?
That's why he got out of the military. He broke his sternum or something like that. Or got out of the Marine Corps. Anywho, yeah, and then we get, I think the newest zombie movie to date would have to be Zack Snyder's re-entry into the zombie genre.
Yeah, the Army of the Dead.
Yeah, starting Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
And that thing, I genuinely, it had like the pacing of like a Zombieland, where it's quick, it's got some humor, it's got some really cool elements to it. It's shot, you know, in Zack Snyder's style. His new style.
I heard this is the first time he was his own cinematographer.
Yeah, and I love it, man.
Photography,
like, huh? I loved the cinematography for the film and the colors that were chosen throughout, because you got like these bright neon lights and colors, and the dead are, you know, these gory dead, you know, but they're a different kind of zombie too. So this is the next evolution of zombie where they don't speak, right? So they're not like The Return, but they're intelligent all the same. They hunt, they trade, they're giving birth to zombie babies.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, it's a zombie movie. It's not like
yeah.
I'm going to go into it like The Sixth
Expecting
Sense
great
and be
things.
like,
Yeah.
like,
but
you know,
you ruined it.
send you a nasty letter.
Exactly. Send all your letters to.
I mean, that's one of those ones too. I really kind of have no desire to watch, but I'll watch it just to say that I watched it, type of thing.
I genuinely enjoyed the experience of watching it. I'm glad it was on Netflix and I didn't pay to see it.
Right.
But I'm interested to see, because they're going to do some prequel movies for some of the characters, and some of the characters, like I'm vested. I want to see how they got to that point.
Okay.
So, and he had, I don't know who wrote the movie, but there was some pretty witty dialogue that really worked for me.
Okay.
The action sequences were Zack Snyder action sequences, so you get that, but it by no means is it a perfect movie.
I think
but,
the stuff I've heard about it, I guess some of the stuff I'd listen to and take in is sometimes a little more cynical than others, and not saying.
Well, I mean, you're a cynical a-hole yourself, so
yeah,
that makes sense.
But like, I think if I go into it and I'm just like, I just turn my brain off and I'm just like, watch it as what I want it to be, is this an entertaining dumb zombie movie?
Yeah.
Then I think I'll be fine. But if I go into it thinking that it's supposed to be a film, then I'm gonna be like, this is
no, and approach it as the just a zombie movie.
I said,
yeah, the first one. Just rewind that back. Just go with the first one.
Like an old tape.
I think that's why we watched movies like we did when we were in the service, and first responders, and we've got friends that do that kind of stuff still. And talking to them, they could really care less if they're watching Dead Heat or Goodfellas or The Godfather. They just want to be entertained and take their mind off of the actual horrific stuff they've seen in life.
Yeah.
So Sometimes
why not watch a movie that's full of
horrific dead things. But
no, I get what you're saying. But yeah, that's so real quick we'll get into the kind of the wrap up here.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Wish I would have done that sooner.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph and the rest of the gang. So we'll discuss this here, and we'll discuss a couple quick reasons why. So
It lasts forever. It's not always present, but it's always with you.
are you talking about that thing we talked about?
Reason to wrap it up. Yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah, unrelated.
So which zombie universe would you least likely to live in?
Okay, so which one would I die first in?
Well, not die first, but which one do you think would be the suckiest to live in, given the context of Romero's Return of the Living Dead, 28 Days Later, World War Z, Walking Dead, Resident Evil? You know, what would be the one that you would be the most terrified or most? God,
I'd have to go with. If we're going with what we were presented with, it'd have to be like the Resident Evil zombies, because they were all over the place. You had zombie dogs, you had these abominations that were created in a lab.
Oh yeah. I
but
thought for sure you would have picked World War Z, but
yeah, I mean, so
because of the speed freaks.
Yeah, and let's face it, I'm not doing cardio much these days.
But see, that kind of, I guess, with the World War Z thing, all you'd have to do is give yourself some kind of curable virus.
And that's exactly what I was about to say. Like, you have an out, right?
Yeah.
Like, so any of the other ones, they don't give you an out that I can think of. Like,
No.
name another universe that gave you, like, here's how you really beat it.
Well, yeah, none of them. 28 weeks. Well, now at the end of 28 weeks, they got this. I think that's what their next deal is going to do. Is it? Because the gal with the two colored eyes.
Oh yeah, the one that like split there.
Well, even the mother in the beginning, she was fine.
Right.
She was
so there was some
considered
immunity
a carrier. So
right.
They had to try to develop some kind of cure off of her blood.
Yeah, she didn't need the vaccine.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
And
Danny Boyle's working on
out on there. But Resident Evil, I guess, doesn't give you one. There's no
right.
Just a glim future, I guess.
But if we take those gimmicky ones off and look at like the Romero verse or the returning of my boys here.
Yeah.
So this one, the military kind of steps in and just nukes the town.
Yeah.
To end the first couple of movies. So, and you think you've zapped it, but for the most part, it's not a widespread world-ending phenomenon.
Oh, so that would be your favorite one to live in?
I think so, because I think the most realistic chance of survival.
Because so you could like watch back over the fire with like a bag of pork rinds and just see all this craziness that happen. You're like, it's just
nothing but my tidy whities and socks. Yeah. Maybe a kiss to cook. A kiss to cook, But I honestly, I think
you're like, oh, it's just contained to this one town. I ain't got nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Fuck those guys. I didn't like them anyway.
It's like a rival basketball team or something for your high school or something.
Exactly. Honestly, though, I think the Romero verse would be the worst long term because, and for the same reason that Walking Dead would be the worst, right?
Yeah, there's
because the lack of resources, the lack of
like my favorite one would be the Zombieland universe.
Right, because you can just do wild shit and get away with it.
Well, yeah, see, but I think you could too in the Walking Dead universe. It's just they don't
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah,
they don't show that aspect.
Right.
Walking Dead's supposed to be as grim as fuck,
Yeah, just
So you
beat
got-
you down every day.
But maybe something good's happened. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Woody Harrelson and them are just cruising around fucking shit up in the Walking Dead universe.
Wouldn't that be a great like crossover? Like maybe not on television,
Like
but
they just
even in
made
a
a
comic
cameo
book.
on one of the like just
Not
on
even
an
a cameo.
episode.
Just show the Dale Earnhardt car, or the truck they sprayed it on. Like that's all you need.
Or Woody Harrelson cussing out a minivan on an interstate. Just way in the distance, even. You don't even have to show, just fucking
Exactly.
minivan.
Who's the younger sister in that? Amber Breslin or something like that? Brislin?
You mean Arkansas?
Sure.
I just know them by their I mean, I know Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg. I don't know who that other gal is.
So the younger sister, right?
Yep.
What's she doing these
Arkansas.
days? I'm sure she's free. Let's put her in The Walking Dead.
Yeah. But yeah, so the worst one I think though to live in would be wow, yeah, I'd probably go with the Resident Evil one, yeah.
I
So
mean,
we tie on that one, we agree on that one.
that's fair. But again, that one's pretty wild in comparison to even the rest of them because of the experimentation, right? Yeah.
Like I said, Woody Harrelson and Emma Stone them are off fucking off somewhere in like
Yeah, exactly. Wiping their money with Bill Murray.
Elvis's fucking ranch and they're at freaking
Or Bill
Greaseland.
Murray. Exactly.
The rest of the world's like, my God, we gotta grow crops.
Exactly.
Woody Harrelson just wants to find some damn Twinkies.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's anything else you want to add before we
Well, let's cap it off with one more question.
okay.
And this may tie into our conversation that we're going to have about our 5 favorite horror movies. But what's your favorite zombie movie? Or zombie experience, right? It doesn't have to be a movie. It could be the game, could be a show.
I'm gonna have to go with Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. That's when, I don't know. That still sticks out in my head, and maybe because that's like my big first, the shock valued one I watched when I was a kid or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's mine. What's your favorite? Yeah.
I just have to say, for me, I gotta go with like Zombieland. It's just fun.
That was one of my. I was tied up there a little bit.
If you wanted to live in a video game, that's what I would imagine Zombieland is, right? Like you're living in, what was the Dead Rising games, where you're building these outlandish weapons and
you're just putting chicken
massacring
heads on your head and shit like that, and hitting people with a guitar.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
So I think
Classic game, by the way, too.
classic, horrible movie, but classic game. They did make a really shoddy movie, but yeah, I think I got to go that route. If I just want to watch like I'm just gonna hang out, watch a zombie movie, man. I'm going Zombieland. I went TAD 30 times. I got 27 children from them. Goddamn barracks rats with their VD.
I keep getting non-rec because I'm obese.
But I passed tape.
All right, well that's we're gonna end on that high note.
All right, from the jarheads in the basement
Stay
to the
tuned.
mutants in the basement. We'll see you next time, guys.
Later. Angry Orchard? Yeah, I've heard of them, I think.
It tastes like shitty beer with somebody yelling the name of a fruit from a different room.
So what you're saying is just a hint of it?
Yeah. Like strawberry.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, taste it. Yeah, thanks.
You guys did a good job.
Yeah, appreciate you. Basically, how White Claws taste too. Club
Ish.
soda, somebody screaming, "Lemon lime!" Anywho,